Hello, everyone, and welcome to the beautiful Profile Estate Vineyard overlooking St. Helena, California. I am Andrew Wright, the winemaker from Merryvale Vineyards, alongside Jeff Crawford, Starmont winemaker and the winemaker of the Merryvale Solstice, which is our line of traditionally made sparkling wines from here in the Napa Valley. You know, it's never a bad time to drink sparkling wine, so I think we should pop some bottles.
Let's do it.
Let's pop some bottles. Should we go for distance?
Let's do it.
All right.
Cheers.
So we have a Brut and a Rosé. Obviously the Rosé is pink. The Brut is in this beautiful green bottle here. So Jeff, why don't you tell us about these wines you made and the difference between the two?
Yeah, I think a little compare and contrast for these wines. So as Andrew mentioned, they are actually both Bruts. So all that means is just the level of residual sweetness that they have, which means it's a fairly tart, relatively low residual sweetness. But clearly, we have a little skin contact with the rosé, partly where the color comes from. But at the same time, it is an assemblage and made from different components, and so there is actually a little bit of red Pinot in this as well, which is kind of traditional for Champagne rosé as well. So the regular Solstice Brut over here, it's extraordinary. The extraordinary Solstice Brut is made from mainly 3 different vintages. I held them back, and so mostly about half of the blend is made from the previous vintage, from when it was put into the bottle entourage, but the remainder was made from the previous 2 vintages, so 17, 16, 15. So that is why it is non-vintage designation. I feel like in California we don't have any issue. This is all from Stanley Ranch. We don't have any issues with fruitiness in our sparkling wine, so I tried to use that reserve wine to add different layers and elements to the wine, give a little more complexity.
You know, Jeff, tasting this Brut, this doesn't seem like a typical heavy kind of Napa Valley, Up Valley sparkling wine. You mentioned Stanley Ranch Estate down in Carneros. Can you talk a little bit about what the cool climate does to maybe the aromatic and flavor profile of these wines, and how that's different than maybe a larger sparkling wine?
Definitely. So sourced from down in Carneros at the Stanley Ranch, just a couple of miles away as the crow flies from the San Pablo Bay. So cool maritime influence, particularly at night. So it gets warm enough to be able to get the fruit ripe enough, and that's where that fruitiness comes from. But at the same time, the cool nights manage to help the grapes maintain that real bright, fresh acidity.
Yeah, it's super fresh. I love the acidity. It's like a laser beam. It's focused. It reminds me of a French champagne, and I'm not just saying that. I have it on good authority from several interns that I've formerly worked with that are European. This is their favorite California sparkler. So it's in good company for sure. And yeah, it's got that a little bit of breadiness, yeastiness that I love in high-end champagne, but at the same time, it's got a little bit of that Napa Valley body too. It's almost like the best of both worlds.
I definitely tried to go down that razor's edge of having a true to California sparkling wine, but at the same time done in a style that is going to be fresh and bright and tart, and so that kind of brioche breadiness, hazelnut I get in the Rosé Brut comes from the time on tirage, the time that the wine spends on the lees that create the bubbles in the bottle. So a secondary fermentation took place in each of these individual bottles. That's the traditional method that you had spoke about. And so that's where that time on the lees, as those yeast cells break down, add elements to the wine, and that's where you get those kind of bread notes and that hazelnut, or a little bit more of that kind of brioche type of elements. And then the other thing too is they are both made from two different varietals. Primarily Pinot Noir, about 2/3 Pinot Noir and 1/3 Chardonnay. The Pinot Noir helps kind of give a little bit more weight to the palate, and then the Chardonnay helps that laser beam acidity. You know, particularly on the Brut, it presents elements of that lemon kind of citrus notes that I very much appreciate in the wine.
Well, I have to say these are perfect for the spring going into the summer season. I mean, think about all the holidays, graduations, pool parties, my personal favorite, spring break. So yeah, I love these wines. I know you will love these too. MerryvaleWines.com.
There's
Well
a
done,
deal.
sir.
Get a bunch of them.
There's always a deal. Cheers.
Cheers.